5 arrested as police launch a murder investigation following the death of a 17-year-old boy in Caerphilly. Rolling into action, Wales' long-awaited metro should be arriving in the spring. Lost in time, the village controversially drowned to provide water for the West Midlands.
And I'll be live here at London Welsh Rugby Club, where I'll be joined by a very special guest to build up to the big one, England versus Wales.
Hello, good evening. A murder investigation has been launched after a 17-year-old died in Abertrydyr. Police say 5 people have been arrested after the teenage boy was found dead in the Caerphilly County village. With the latest, Richard Morgan is there for us this evening. Richard, what more do we know at this stage?
Well, Jonathan, it was around 5:45 yesterday evening when police were called to an address just behind the police cordon behind me here in Abertrydyr, following reports that a teenage boy had sustained serious injuries. A 17-year-old was later pronounced dead at the scene. His family have been informed and are receiving support from specialist officers. Now, as you say, 5 people have been arrested in connection with this incident. A 26-year-old from London, a 24-year-old from Abertrydyr and an 18-year-old, all men, on suspicion of murder, and a 28-year-old woman from Hereford and a 24-year-old woman from St Gennydd on suspicion of assisting an offender. Now, scenes of crime officers have been combing the scene here throughout the day. Gwent Police have said anyone with information can contact them directly or can leave information anonymously via Crime Stoppers.
And Richard, what's been the reaction in the community there?
Well, real shock here, as you can imagine, Jonathan. I spoke to one resident on the street here who's lived here for 38 years. She said she can't ever remember anything like this happening before, and that this is a place where people keep themselves to themselves. This evening, the 5 suspects remain in police custody and investigations continue. John.
OK, Richard Morgan in Abertrydyr, thanks very much indeed. Investigations are continuing after a pupil in Pembrokeshire was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Officers were called to Milford Haven Comprehensive School yesterday afternoon after reports that a teacher was assaulted by a pupil brandishing a weapon. Police say the teacher was treated for injuries but has since been discharged, and the secondary school remained closed today. A man has been jailed after driving down a busy Cardiff dual carriageway while fireworks were fired from his car. Ahmed Kadura from Birmingham pleaded guilty to driving a vehicle dangerously and using fireworks during night hours. He was jailed for 8 months and disqualified from driving for more than 2 years. Long-awaited new tram trains will go into operation in the South Wales valleys this spring, the Welsh Government has confirmed. They're a key part of the South Wales Metro and the ambition to run faster and more regular services. On a visit to the depot in Taffswell, the First Minister has defended delays to the project. Mike Griffiths has the story.
The First Minister is used to the levers of power, but in the train cab, it's the driver who's in charge.
Great.
Not that Eluned Morgan seemed to mind. She was visiting Transport for Wales' depot to confirm the start date for these new tram trains, a key and much delayed part of the South Wales Metro.
The real benefit of this is that it will allow far more frequent rail services from the heads of the valleys for an hour. That is the major change that these trains will allow, and really transform the opportunities for people in the valleys to get to Cardiff, to get back, to really get employment opportunities in those areas.
And the target of 4 trains an hour to the heads of the valleys, to Aberdare, to Herbert, to Merthyr, again, there's no fixed target for that to happen.
Look, if it hadn't been for the Welsh Labour Government's commitment to this, not over 5 years, but over a very prolonged period, this is the benefit of having the same government in place over a prolonged period, is you stick to the goal.
When she became First Minister, Eluned Morgan made delivery a big part of her pitch. They want the Metro and what's already been introduced to be seen as one of those successes, pointing to the new trains already running and those still to come. But there are still big questions over delays to the project and what's coming next. The Welsh Government is now responsible for the valley lines that these trains will run on. But the rest of the network is in the control of the UK Government. Plaid Cymru say Wales has been dealing with a substandard public transport system for decades due to Labour's inability to fight for the funding. It says a Plaid Cymru government would be unapologetic in demanding Wales gets what it's owed. Meanwhile, the Welsh Conservatives have criticised spending on active travel schemes. They say they would prioritise essential transport infrastructure. Back at the depot, testing and training on the tram trains continues.
The track, the signalling, the overhead electrification, all of that is ready. All that we need to do is bring these into service, then allow the crew to get used to them. They need to be able to operate these trains at a faster pace than the old ones. In the interim, we have done things like introduced additional night services, so we're running trains far later than we used to.
The UK government says the £445 million announced at last year's spending review will pay for new rail projects across Wales. But the scrutiny over spending and ambition is set to play out further in the months ahead. Mike Griffiths, ITV News in Taftswell.
And if you want more analysis from our reporters on the big stories of the week, sign up to our Substack newsletter. Here's how to do it. Just scan the QR code on your screen now, where you can sign up on Substack. You only have to do it once, and after that, we'll automatically email you our weekly newsletter, where you can get more analysis and insight from our reporters on the biggest stories around Wales. It's completely free to sign up, and you can read it on your phone and tablet too. Just scan the QR code to sign up, or if you're already on Substack, just search ITV Wales. Well worth doing. Now, more teachers could be given search scanners in a bid to deal with pupils bringing weapons into our schools. New guidance by the Welsh Government will give teachers the power to search any student suspected of carrying a knife or other weapon. Issa Farfur reports.
Scanning pupils for weapons. This is the Welsh Government's new guidance to keep our schools safe. Teachers will now be able to carry out searches like this one if they suspect a student is carrying a weapon.
That someone has a weapon, they might carry out a search.
One head teacher trialling this approach says the guidance brings clarity and consistency, helping staff do the right thing the right way.
Since the launch in September, we have not used the guidance to find a weapon on any child so far. It is rare in exceptional circumstances that would be the case. Broadly, it gives parents confidence that there are procedures in place to keep their child safe.
This is called the Weapons in Schools and Educational Settings Guidance in Cardiff.
The guidance is now being rolled out across Wales, with ministers insisting it will help ensure every school responds in the same way when a weapon is suspected.
But we know that this is something that our school staff are already worried about. This is not intended to be in any way burdensome. This is intended to empower school staff by giving them more information about the steps they could take in the very rare instance that a child is suspected of having a weapon in school.
And the Children's Commissioner is mindful of the added pressure on staff and pupils.
I know that pupils are already worried to an extent about their safety and about security, including in schools. So I hope that these measures actually serve to reassure pupils and increase their feelings of safety.
Meanwhile, Plaid Cymru says guidance alone will not fix the wider crisis in behaviour and safety. While Reform says, sadly, the Labour Welsh Government has allowed safety and standards to slip in our schools. Supporters of this plan hope it will give confidence to parents, pupils and teachers that our classrooms are safe at a time when school safety is very much in the focus. Issa Farfur, ITV News.
Still to come, Ruth, how's the weekend forecast looking?
Don't ask, I think. Probably best not to. John, more wet and windy stuff to come, and there's no sign of any change coming anytime soon. The weather, safe to say, has certainly gone down the pan, Lewis.
Well, a lot used to go down the pan here as well, Ruth, but fortunately not the case anymore. From humble beginnings as a public toilet to now being a little theatre here in Newport. I'll tell you more soon.
Urgent action is needed to halt the decline in our beef farms. That's according to a Welsh farming union. The number of beef farms has fallen from nearly 11,000 in 2004 to around 6,500. Ian Lang reports.
Jessica Williams, working to preserve a traditional way of farming in Wales, we're being warned is in decline. Known as suckler cattle, the term probably means little to those outside the industry. It's where cows are kept specifically to rear their own calves, producing a high-quality meat. Jessica and her husband Hugh's herd of Welsh black cattle graze the pastures and uplands of their farm near Tywyn in Gwynedd.
We're able to produce beef up on the mountains and hills of Wales. It's been here these cattle have been here for like the last 1,000 years. It's documented that the Welsh black cattle have been roaming these hills for thousands of years and producing amazing nutrient beef that have fed the nation over the years.
You can't grow crops in the Welsh uplands, but cattle and sheep can graze, helping sustain farming communities, the Welsh language and landscapes in some of Wales's remotest areas. The report launched today says the next Welsh Government should commit to a £500 million annual budget for Welsh farming as part of a range of policies to support the industry.
If they really want Welsh agriculture to take a good foothold and propel agri-food here in Wales, we need proper budgets to drive the industry forward as well.
The Welsh Government say they have a positive vision of a thriving and modernising farming industry in Wales. But this report suggests that with an election looming, farmers are hoping a future Welsh Government will deliver more. Ian Lang, ITV News, Gwynedd.
Time for the latest sport now.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Cymru Wales Sports Report.
Rugby, it's a big weekend, and Wales captain Dewi Lake says his side are raring to go ahead of tomorrow's match against England. Well, our sports reporter Matt Southcombe is at Old Deer Park, home of London Welsh, for us this evening. Matt, what are our chances, dare I ask?
Well, John, I think we've got to come at this from a realistic perspective. In the last 12 months, England have really developed into one of the big forces in world rugby, and Wales, on the other hand, are at the start of a very long developmental journey. But that being said, earlier today, Captain Dewi Lake was in fighting mood.
They're an incredible team, massive bench threat as well, and like you said, they're in incredible form, probably one of the form teams in the world at the moment. Look, we know Twickenham's going to be quite a hostile place. It's going to be, aerial battle's going to be massive. It's going to be physical. I can't wait. And we've spoken all week about being the aggressors and not waiting for them to throw the first punch. So it's our job to go out and do that tomorrow.
Well, I'm joined now by a man who knows exactly what it takes to win here in London, Dan Biggar. Dan, thanks very much for joining us on Wales at 6. The last time Wales won here was 11 years ago. You were the player of the match on that occasion in the Rugby World Cup. What chance have Wales got tomorrow?
Thanks for reminding me. It was a good day, that very good day. Look, let's be realistic about this. Wales, like you just mentioned, Wales and England are at very, very opposite ends of the scale in terms of development stage, confidence stage. England got a really settled team, and we were speaking off air that Wales's last victory at the Allianz Stadium was 11 years ago, 2 Six Nations victories in 20 odd years, and you're talking about teams with seasoned internationals there. This is a new, young team. So you think for Wales to win tomorrow, I think it would go down as probably one of the best wins in Allianz Stadium from a Welsh point of view. So look, the odds are stacked against them, but they've got a young team and sometimes that's good. There's no fear, there's no expectation, and they can go out and give it a lash and this is not the barometer for this Welsh team in this tournament. It's a bit of a free hit for the players to go and enjoy themselves and test themselves against a very good English team.
And what will the psychology of the players be heading into this? Will they be going in fearing that they could be in for a long afternoon?
Well, I think some of them will be a little bit scarred, not scarred, but will be thinking, okay, the last game that they played was the South Africa game in Cardiff 2 months ago. What they can't do, and I think they have to start the game really well. You go behind against this England team with the power they've got to come off the bench at 45, 50, 55 minutes, and it is going to be a really tough afternoon. So they have to start well, try and almost not worry about playing a conventional game of rugby. Try and switch things up, try and do things which are outside the box, ruffle a few feathers and get in amongst England. Because if England have it their own way and they're on the front foot and they've got things going for them, they're a really difficult team to stop. If you can put some pressure on them, you saw what Argentina did to England the last game of the Quilter Nations series, then they're in with a really good chance of disrupting that sort of flow and getting them a chance. But they have to go in with no fear, and they have to go in with everything to gain and not wanting to lose or damage reputation.
Lovely. Well, Dan, thanks very much for joining us. There we have it then, John. Dan is part of ITV's coverage of this match. Just 24 hours to go, less than now. And of course, the game will be live on ITV1 tomorrow. Kick-off is at 4:40.
You're watching, Matt. Thanks very much indeed. Now, it opened in 1967 to provide water for the West Midlands. The 7-mile Clywedog Reservoir near Llanidloes in Powys was created by flooding over 600 acres of land. Farms and family homes were demolished and drowned to make way for the dam. And it's never been forgotten, as Adiola Dewis has been finding out.
The Clywedog Reservoir was a vast engineering project. Construction began in 1963, and it was the tallest dam in Britain. But it came at a cost. There were once cottages and farms here, and those homes are now underneath that lake.
Not many people are aware of what happened at Clywedog. A lot of people drive along its banks without realising there was anything below there. There were a number of farms dotted along the valley. There was a cluster of 3 in one area in particular. At the time, about 100 people living there. Pasture land, mixture of sheep farming and cattle. It was beautiful, stunning. Britain always needs water. Water is always scarce. So what happens, you have population increasing dramatically in cities, Liverpool, Manchester, West Midlands in particular. And then they need a fresh source of water urgently. They had their sites in mid-Wales, as they often do, and they came to Clywedog and they noticed the shape of the land, the valley itself was very suited to it, high rainfall.
My family moved there to live in 1947. They were there for 18 years in a little farm called Bulchaglair. They were forcibly evicted from the house. They had letters from the authorities to say they had to move. They actually refused to accept the letter, and they stayed till the very last moment. The police, the bailiffs came and literally manhandled them out of the house. Yeah, very, very sad and unnecessary. If you go there now, you'll see a sign which says Bulchaglair. But actually where the house once stood, just wasteland. My grandfather felt very angry that the company actually knocked down at the house when they needn't have knocked it down, because it's actually the other side of the dam wall. I try and be pragmatic and practical about it, but I think emotionally, I think I still feel that sadness that the valley's been drowned.
And you can watch the full story on tonight's Vanished Wales. That's at 7 o'clock here on ITV1 Wales and ITVX, of course. Now, is live theatre going down the pan? Well, for one converted toilet block in Newport, it's quite the opposite. The Phyllis Maud is a former public loo, fully renovated as a space to play to music and comedy events. Well, Lewis Rhys-Jones is in Newport for us this evening. Lewis, do tell us more.
Well, to tell you the truth, John, I nearly drove past it earlier because it is such a discreet building when you pass it. But take a look around us. Isn't it such a cushy and cosy environment for live performances? But as you just said, it used to have a completely different life. Well, Joe, you've taken the place on in the last year. Tell us a little bit about, the history of the place and what you do here.
Well, it used to be a Edwardian toilet and it was renovated about 6 years ago, and it's been a live music venue or a performance space ever since. We took it on about 9 months ago and have been carrying on the kind of legacy of putting on music shows and comedy and theatre and things like that.
That's excellent. And do you get funny reactions sometimes? Because people might think, oh gosh, what, it used to be a public toilet, but now you can go and watch performances there, Do people laugh a bit?
You get a few comments online, but most people are just amazed by the size of the space inside, because like you said, it looks quite small from the outside, doesn't it? So.
Oh, well, it sure does, but equally, you've fit quite a few people in here. How many can you get in on a good day?
It's about 25 seated and 30 standing, so very intimate.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll go and hear from one of the performers now, if that's OK. Joe, thank you very much indeed. Because we've got Emmy here, a young performer from Newport, on standby to sing. But Emmy, well, it's good to meet you, but tell me a bit about, nerves. You can see the whites of your audience's eyes. Is this a bit more intimidating than perhaps a bigger venue?
Well, not really. I mean, there's this intimacy that you kind of long for when you're a local musician, especially a local musician, because when you have a connection with the audience, when you're close to them, it makes all the difference when they know that you're listening to them, and you know that there's kind of this connection there, and they're really interested in what you're singing, and they're there for the music, and I get that impression in here because it's so intimate.
And do you think it's a good recycling of the space in a way, and it's giving you more opportunities?
Yes, of course. I've played here a few times. It's just such a wonderful local place, just on the outskirts of town, which is just so wonderful. People know it's there. People can come and find it.
Well, that's excellent. Well, we will leave you, of course, with a little bit of a performance from Emmy. Thank you very much, and take it away.
And what a lovely way to glide us into the weather. Ruth, I'm feeling all relaxed after that.
Do you know, in my head, I can sing amazingly, not necessarily on the toilet, but in the shower.
Yes.
It's a shower, isn't it? That's where those acoustics
Do you use the shower head as a microphone?
Yeah, I can sing my way through a weather forecast as well, and there might be plenty to sing about, tears, laughter, you name it. None of it good, though, as far as the weather for this weekend is concerned. Now, take a little look at this. I know it looks a little bit complicated, but if you look closely at your screens, let me just explain to you what's going on, because I keep getting asked, like, why is it raining all the time and when on earth is it going to stop? So this is what's going on. OK, so here we are. That's Wales. That's an area of low pressure, and there are lots of those. And then back over here, if I just sort of edge towards the corner of your screens, that is the United States, where, of course, they've had all sorts of horrendous weather over the last few weeks, haven't they? Extreme temperatures, lots of snow. So effectively, their weather out across the pond is affecting us here. It's supercharging the jet stream. Now, the jet stream, as I keep saying, in its simplest form, is this band of air that moves all our weather systems around, the air masses. So this band of air is being supercharged by all this unstable weather, picking up these low pressure systems and intensifying them. So we are getting all this wet and windy weather at the moment. The problem also is that there's a great big area of high pressure across Scandinavia, and that's blocking all these nasties, effectively keeping them parked across us here in the west. So there is more nasty stuff to come.
Midday Mayan temples, followed by sunny afternoons on the sand. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Well, it's dry across the south at the moment, but as you can see through parts of mid and North Wales, it's the other end of the scale. It's thoroughly miserable, with slow-moving downpours tracking their way northwards during the early hours of tomorrow morning. So it will be for some a dry end to the night, but there's more wet weather waiting in the wings to bring a rather damp end to Friday night through parts of mid and South Wales. And as I said, some of those downpours could well be on the heavy side, so just be careful on the roads. The winds will drop back. It's been breezy out there today. Temperatures hovering at around 3 or 4 degrees. So so it should be frost-free, but we could well see some pockets of mist and fog through the valleys and around the hills too. So for some, quite a gloomy start to your Saturday. And again, you can see the wet weather just keeps on coming, with a band of heavy rain working in during Saturday morning. Tracking northwards, heavy, slow-moving, thundery downpours, pretty much everything on the list apart from sunshine. That's going to be in very short supply. In fact, I don't think parts of Wales will see any sunshine at all. And with the breeze, we've got temperatures rising to around 9 or 10 degrees, but feeling a little cooler in that breeze. Now, if you're heading out and about through Saturday evening, yet again, might be worth taking some wet weather gear with you, because you can see we've got more showers that will start to work their way in. It's going to be hit and miss. So by the time most of us wake then to Sunday, yes, you guessed it, an unsettled start. However, there is a glimmer of hope. Through northern areas in particular, we could see some brighter skies, but make the most of those, because the cloud will build during the day, possibly clearing from the south. So maybe you will end Sunday with something brighter, but the showers never too far away. Highs through Sunday of around 10 or 11 degrees, with more wet weather to come into next week.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales Weather.
Well, John, you perked up when I said glimmer of hope,
yes.
but your hopes are quickly dashed. I mean, the best you're going to get is maybe a tiny bit of blue sky, tiny bit.
That was a stinker of
I'm
a forecast.
so sorry.
Louis Rhys-Jones is back from the loo with the late update. That's after news at 10, but from all the team, thanks for watching.